Hello everybody, it's Wendy, and today we are going to make a beautiful bracelet using products from Sam's Bead Box for October 2022. So the theme of this month's box was Art Deco, and it's a beautiful box. If you're interested in subscribing, I will have a link in the description box below with a $5 coupon code. Okay, so our encouraging word today is do something amazing. And let me tell you, this is a big bracelet, and if it works out, it's going to be an amazing thing. So we're going to see. So here's what I'm using. I'm using some of the 10mm lapis rounds. Now let me grab my bead box out here because I may need more of some of these beads than I have laid out here. And I do have more in this box. The box comes with a lot of beads. I've already made like 4 pieces of jewelry out of it, and I'm fixing to make some more here. So we're going to be using the 10mm lapis rounds. We are going to be using some of these. I'm going to try to tell you the names for everything, but some of them, it's hard for me to find. Let's see. These are the Gold Decadence Drux, 6mm. And we've got a whole bunch of these in here. So we're using these, the 10mm lapis, the 6mm Gold Decadence Drux. We are using the Fire Polish rounds, jet black gold in 8mm and 4mm. Okay. We are using the Toho gold lined rainbow luster seed beads. That's these. We are using the Nun Design Deco Dome. Nope. This is the Nun Design Deco Dome pendant. We're using that. We are going to be using the Check Glass Starburst Oval in Gold Decadence. That's these. Really pretty. These, why can I not find these on here? I know they are here. Huh. Hold on, let me just slow. This is the Check Glass Mandala Flower, Gold Decadence. It's really pretty too. I'm going to use that. Oh, here we go. Check Glass Diamond, Jet Black AB. That's these. We're going to be using some of these. And then these, let's see what these are. I am trying to find them. They're not the Starburst Oval, that's the other ones. These might be the Art Deco Oval. Yeah, a clear crystal gold. Art Deco Oval check glass. Okay, that's everything. I'm using a lot of stuff out of the box. Okay, so we're using this Nun Design pendant piece. I've got a bunch of wire guardians here. I'm not sure how many strands we're going to make this. I wanted to do like 4 or 5. We'll see. So I have a bunch of 2x2 crimp tubes. I have a bunch of 4mm crimp bead covers. Not sure I'll use those either. 3 12mm jump rings, 2 6mm jump rings, and a 6mm jump ring to clasp the lobster on with. And then I've got some 19 strand bead-along bead stringing wire in gold color. And of course my jewelry tools. And if there's anything else we need, then I'll pull it out, but I think this is everything for now. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and cut my bead stringing wire, and I cut this in sections of about 9 inches usually. And if you have some left over, it's good to use later for tassels, little pieces of it, but I like to make sure that I have enough, because if you get this down to the end and you can't get it crimped, it's really aggravating. So I like to cut it in pretty good long strips just to be sure that I have enough to crimp the end. Okay, that's 4 strands, so let's stop at that. We'll see if we need more, we can always add them. Okay, so I'm gonna lay this out kind of like I want to bead it. I had it laid out earlier, and I even took a picture of it, but I'm not sure now that I'm really gonna go with that design. So let me move these things up here, because we're not gonna be using them for just a little bit. We're just gonna play with the beads right now. So we've got these blue lapis, and I tend to like to put the bigger things in the middle of my bracelet and the smaller things on the edge. But it just depends. And like I said, I wanted to do 4 or 5 strands. I want this to be a pretty big, chunky bracelet. Okay, so here we have that star focal, mandala focal. I don't really like those right next to the blue. We might do this. That would be better. Okay, and then let's see. We need something gold here. Aren't these pretty? They're so, so sparkly and bright and pretty. We do have our seed beads, which I would kind of like to use in here maybe, in between some of these. Okay, we've got these gold ones right here, which I may put in between these black triangles. Okay, and then we would need something black in between these guys. I have these 8mm fire polish, which will be really pretty there. And I honestly can't remember how I had this laid out before. I took a picture of it, but I don't really want to I can't look on my phone right now. So I'm just redoing it. Okay. And then we've got these tiny fire polish beads. We need something in between these blues, I think. But I don't want to put these fire polish right next to those fire polish, do I? Probably not. I bet I could do, I could use some of these fire polish over here in with this. That might look good. It does. Yep, definitely need a little bit of fire polish over here with the blacks. And then in between these blues, I don't know that I'm going to do anything. I may just leave the blues like they are. I did have some bead caps out here that I used on another of these Sam's Bead Box project with the gold and the blue. So I may put bead caps on these beads. We'll see. That would bring in some of the gold in there. Okay, so I kind of like this. I like the way it's laid out. I'm going to set these beads aside. We may need more of them. We may need less of them. So I'm just going to put them aside for a few minutes out of the way. Okay, so here's what we've got. So we're going to get to stringing. All right, so with a bracelet, I like to pull out my bead bugs because if I don't, it never fails. They will all fall off the end. So bead bugs are a wonderful thing. You can get them pretty much any craft store, big box craft store. All right, so let's measure this first. So my wrist is pretty small. It's about 6.5 inches, and right now I'm looking at about 7 inches of beads. So I'm definitely going to have to lower it down because the closure on this is big. This is going to be our closure. So we're going to have this clasping onto this, and then the connections, you know, down here. So that right there alone is a good 2 inches. So I'm looking at 4 inches of beads, 4.5. All right, so let's go ahead and string some on though. So we've got the fire polish and these sunburst beads. That's what I always end up with bracelets. I always end up with them too big because I want to put more beads on. But I usually don't have this big of a closure either. But I thought that was kind of cool looking. So we're just gonna string these guys on here. Okay, so I can go a little longer. So pretty. These beads are so pretty. Okay, so there, if I measure that, I've got about 4.5 inches. So let's leave it with that for a minute and do our next one. So these lapis beads, I think I will use the bead caps on them, or maybe on every other one. That'd be kind of cool. Let's do a bead cap on every other lapis bead, because I don't want them to be, I don't want to bring in too much of the gold, but just a little bit. And I don't even know, I wouldn't have enough bead caps to do each one anyway with these. So we'll do every other one. Yeah, that's kind of cute. I don't know if I'm going to have enough to do every other one. We'll see. I hope I do. I probably do there. Okay. All right. Now this guy is going to have to go in the very middle of this row. That, I'm not sure is going to work out right. We'll see. I'm just going to go back the other way. Bead cap, lapis, bead cap, bead cap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. That's pretty close. I may have to add, we'll see how it works out over here. I may have to add another bead in there somewhere. Okay. Now we're looking at this strand. Let's go ahead and bead bug it. Whoops. Well, I can't even get a hold of that thing, can I? Okay. So we're going to do a little fire polish bead on the end of this one. 1, 2, 3 of the silver or the gold lined rainbow. I'm going to do 4 because these 3 guys have to be the focals in the middle. So let's do another fire polish. And then this guy. Another fire polish. 4 of these. And I'm just kind of eyeballing, you know, we can always add more to the ends because we didn't crimp it off. We just used the bead bug. So we can add more to the ends if we need to, or take off. That's one advantage of using the bead bug. This guy on. Another fire polish. 4 more. 3, 4. Fire polish bead. Starburst bead. Fire polish bead. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's see where that lines up. That's going to be pretty close. Let's add another of the small fire polish beads down here on the end. Okay, so that's good for that strand. Oh, I had another one out. Didn't realize it. Okay, let me get these seed beads out of the way so I don't knock them all over the table. Okay, and for the last strand here, we've got these guys. So let's do this one first. We'll go in with our big diamond. Truck. Diamond. And we're just going to alternate these. Okay. One more drug. Now the good thing is, see, if I add another diamond on there, it's going to be too long. These all seem to be matching up pretty good except for this lapis one. And I think I have one too many on there. But the rest of them looks like they're pretty good. This one looks a little short. Possibly I could add a seed bead on each end if I wanted, or a black fire polish. I might throw a seed bead on each end. You want them to be as close as possible to each other in length. Okay. So there that is. Now, let me see if I do like the way that everything looks, and I think I do. That's pretty even right there. That one's a tad short. I may have to add a seed bead on each end for it. It doesn't need a whole nother bead, like another lapis bead, but it could use one more seed bead. So let's do that. It's a good thing about having some seed beads in the mix. You can just kind of adjust your lengths with them, using them. Okay, and then this guy, he's pretty close too. Okay, that looks pretty good. I like the way they look. Now, we're going to be crimping them onto this, and then onto the end down here, we're going to crimp them. And the way I'm going to do this is kind of weird, but I'm going to use 3 rings. And I'm going to hook them together with smaller jump rings. These two. Okay, and then this one is going to hook this guy on. I know, it's like a process, sort of weirdness. We're going to try it. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We'll just take it apart. Okay, but I think it's going to work. We'll see. Okay, so let me hook these 3 rings together down here on the bottom. And actually, I may just need 2 of them. I don't know. That's going to hook that together. I'm trying to make something up that is the same width. That's pretty close. I don't know if I need that 3rd ring. Probably don't. Let's try the 2 and we'll see what happens. Alright, so we're just going to hook them together, these 2 big jump rings. These are 12 millimeters. I'm going to hook them together with a 6 millimeter jump ring. Just like this. And the reason I don't just hook them to each other is because if I do that, they're not going to lay flat. If I do them like this, they will. But they are not really. Are they wide enough? No. I really do need another jump ring in there, I think. I don't know. Maybe I don't. Save that out. Let's go ahead and hook the lobster on. So the lobster is going to hook onto this middle one. Whoops, not you. Middle one. That's a thick jump ring. Looks like an 18 gauge. It just wants to fall off. But I like to use a thick one to hook the lobster on. I just feel like it's way more secure. And I will get it on here. There we go. Tell it who's boss. Okay. So there is our little piece. Like that. If I have to hook the 3rd one on, I can hook the lobster on this middle ring. That might work out better. Let's just try that. That's how I had originally intended to do it, but it didn't look like I was going to need it, but actually, I think I might. So let's go ahead and hook the 3rd jump ring. And I could change and hook these together with 4 millimeter jump rings if it's too wide, but let's try this. So there's our 3 I don't know. We're going to try. This may work. And I'm going to hook the lobster on this middle one. Now, you don't have to use this big of a lobster. I didn't have anything that was kind of middle-sized. I wish I would have had one that was not quite this large. But all the ones I had were just like the 12 millimeter. They're too tiny. So we're going to go with this. Okay. So by the time we hook all these on, let's get a rough estimate. We're looking at about 7.5 inches. We're going to go with it because I think it's probably going to work out. Famous last words, right? Because I'm always saying that my bracelets don't fit. They're always too big. Okay, so let's bead bug the other ends of these. Just so nothing falls apart as I'm working. And let's go ahead and crimp this one. So this guy, I didn't want to take that off. Okay, we're going to take our crimp and our wire guardian. Now, we've got crimping pliers. These are Xuron, and they're my favorite crimping pliers. They work really good. And I'm going to take my crimp and put it on, and then put my wire guard on. And you want your wire to go up this one channel, like this, and come over, like this. And then come through your crimp bead and a couple of beads. Now, there's a great controversy about leaving this tail and coming back through the beads, and I'm just going to tell you my experience. So I'm making a necklace the other day, and I get the whole thing almost done, and I'm having to kind of pull really hard on one section of it, and the crimp comes loose. So this part right here that I'm getting ready to do came loose. If I did not have this tail right here, because it didn't break, the crimp part just came loose. I hadn't crimped it tight enough. And if I had not had this tail, I would have had to restring the whole thing. But thankfully, I was able just to pull it off and redo it because I had this tail piece here. So it's really, I think, beneficial to tuck it back through some beads. I've had a couple people say that, you know, that you shouldn't have to do that if you crimp right. And I agree, if you crimp right, you shouldn't have to do it, but nobody intends to crimp wrong. And when you do, it sure is nice to have this tail to rely on, because I was able to just, you know, recrimp it and not have to restring my entire necklace. So that's my experience with it. You can disagree if you want, and that is fine, but I'm going to do it because if this would come loose, I hope it doesn't, and I don't, you know, I'm trying to crimp it correctly, but if it would, I would have this little tail here to go back through, and, you know, to restring, or to, you know, recrimp, basically, and not have to restring. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so I'm going to take my little wire guard. I do have the bead bug on. Inevitably, I dump all my beads off the other end. And I'm going to bend him in. I just like to do that. I think it looks better. And then I'm laying my crimp in the very back divot of my crimping pliers. I'm pulling everything up tight. I like to make sure my wires aren't crossed, but I've got them tucked through my bead and I can't really tell, but I think they're okay. And then I'm just going to crimp down. Now, I press down pretty firmly because, like I said the other day, you know, I had one come loose. So I'm doing it a little firmer than I used to. And then I turn these sideways. I always go in this second little divot here, and I'm going to close it up. And so I'm pressing tightly here, and that should be good. The other day too, when that necklace came open, I was using some crimps that I ordered from the Bargain Bead Box, crimp tubes, and I got so excited when I saw that they had these crimp tubes, because I thought, oh yeah, you know, it's kind of hard to find them in some colors, and they had all different colors. And I ordered a bunch, and they were crappy crimp tubes. I mean, terrible. Like, they were really bad. So, don't order those. They don't work real good, and that's the one that came open. So, alrighty. I normally love them and love their stuff, but those crimp tubes were bad. Okay, so we're going to crimp onto this guy now, other end. And we're just going to take our crimp, put it on, put our wire guard on. I tend to only use any more Bead-A-Long and Soft Flex crimps. They just seem to be the best quality. and I never have trouble with them coming apart. Okay, and we're just going to put it right here on on the little end loop there, and we're going to go again back through the crimp tube and a few beads. And I am going to measure this before I crimp this closed, just to make sure that it is really tight, or really the right length. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted because I'm hearing all kinds of noise in the house. I don't know what's going on. Okay. So let me pull this tight. Lay this across here. And I'm just going to measure. It's right around 7 inches. I think that's going to work fine for me. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to bend this in. And I'm going to crimp it closed. Now pull this tight. A lot of people ask me, how do you keep your wire laying in this without it? People say that they have trouble with it poking up. I just pull it tight here, not super tight. I mean, you don't want it so tight that your bracelet doesn't have any movement to it, but you need to pull it firm. Crimp down, turn this sideways, and close this crimp. I'm gonna have to grab it this way. Now, I did pull out some crimp covers for this. I'm not sure I'm going to use them. I don't always use them. Sometimes, well, I rarely use them, actually. Sometimes I do. Alright, so there is our first strand. Now, all we're going to do with this is hook the other strands on just randomly. I mean, not randomly, but you want to lay them in here and kind of decide where you want them to hook. So, you know, obviously this one's going to go right next to this one. It will need to go on this middle ring, and so will this one in order to make it look right. So you're going to need to put your next 2 strands on that middle ring, and then your last strand can go on this outer ring, and I think that's going to make it look right. So what I'm going to do is start with this end. Now I am going to lay this up next to the other one, and I want to make sure that with these seed beads, and see, I don't think I'm going to need the seed beads after all, because my crimp is right here on both of them. My crimp is where the seed bead is. So I'm going to take these 2 seed beads off, because by the time I put the crimp on, it would have been too long. I hope that made sense. So I'm going to take the crimp, put it on, and come up and over and around. And make sure you're leaving room to crimp on your other end when you're doing this. Kind of have to be conscious of that. I'm going to go back through the crimp and these bead caps and beads. Okay. If you feel like you need to pull this up a little so you have more room on the other end, you can. And I'm just going to go through a few of these beads here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and crimp this one closed. Oh shoot, I didn't put it on the ring. I'm going to open the ring and put it on there just so I don't have to take all that loose. It's important to remember to put it on the ring. But these are easy enough to open. Just stick it on there. I'd rather not reopen the jump rings just because, you know, I feel like they're sturdier if you don't, or it's best not to open and close a whole lot. But yeah, it would be easier definitely than taking that whole thing apart. Okay. And then we're going to lay this down, pull it up and crimp. Turn sideways. And you've got to make sure that you get this in here vertically perfect. I mean, you don't want it, you want it in there really the right way or it's not going to close up good. So get it in there and close it. Okay, just like that. And we're going to pull this up through the beads. Just like this. Okay, and then we're going to do the other end. I'm going to take the seed bead off the other end too, because we don't need that seed bead on there like we thought we did. Let me lay this out. I'm going to make sure one last time. You kind of want to keep everything laid out on your table like it's going to lay when you wear it. And yeah, we definitely didn't need the seed bead because when we crimp, they're coming out perfectly even there. Okay, move that down a little bit. Okay, so here we go. We're going to crimp this other end. Put the crimp bead on. Go up and over. Now, let's look at this. So this needs to go on here. And the problem is my wire guard is a little bit, it doesn't really fit over that very well. But I think because this one has the ring, I think I can put a small jump ring on here and it will still hang even, you know, where I need it to hang. Because this one has this ring that it's hooked to. So if I hook this on with a jump ring, it's going to hang right about there where it needs to hang. So let me grab a jump ring. And you want to use small jump rings if you can. I can't go too small because that piece right there is kind of wide, and I didn't think about that ahead of time. I just realized it. So let's see what this will do. If we just put the jump ring on here and then hook on here. I'm hoping that this doesn't mess up the length of everything. And why am I making this so hard on myself? I am. Let's open that up. Let's go back through this crimp and pull this tight and then put the jump ring on. That would make so much more sense than what I was trying to do. Making it really hard on myself. Okay, so go back through the beads. Come on, wire. And I usually, though it's giving me fits right now, I usually just poke it through here and hopefully it will come out at the bottom or after a few beads at the bottom of one of these beads on down. This one is really, see, it's coming out right there. I'd rather it go down another bead. But I'm not going to fight with it because it's really being difficult. It's really being difficult. There we go. Let me just pull it through here. Now, see if I can get through a couple more beads or another bead. It's giving me trouble. There we go. Okay. Now it's wanting to go down through the next one, but I don't really... I mean, it can if it will go. There we go. We're coming out here. That's good. Alrighty. Now, this is not this hard, guys. I'm making it look a lot harder than it really is. It's really not. Okay, let's make sure this is laying right. It is. Alright, now we're going to try to hook this guy on with this jump ring. Heaven's sakes. I'm going to do it before I crimp, just to be sure, in case I would not like it and need to take it apart. I would not have crimped my thing closed already. Yep, I think that's going to work. Okay, let's pull tight. And when I say pull tight, I mean just make sure there's not a lot of space between your beads. You don't want to pull so tight that nothing moves, that it's like a poker stick. You don't want that. That's no fun. Turn it vertical in here and let's close this crimp up. Close it up really good. Okay, looking good so far. And I was going to just, you know, let you guys bead this, do the rest of these on your own, but I feel like it's kind of good like that to see the process on this, because it is kind of fiddly a little bit, this bracelet. Okay, so now we're going to crimp this one. Again, we're going to crimp this one to this middle ring right here, and we're going to have to use a jump ring again on the other end, just like we did on that one. So let's get our crimp on, our wire guard, up and over. I'm going to remember to go on my jump ring this time. Okay. Going to come back down through this crimp tube and several beads if I can. Sorry for the ringing phone in the background. I'm not sure why we have to have that phone in here, that it rings really loud, but we do. Okay. Chris needs to hear it for work, but I'm not sure that, I don't know. All right, now we're going to crimp this down. Now let me look first though, and just see what we've got going on here. Laying all this out like it needs to go if you're wearing it. That's important. Okay. And let's just make sure. So with this one, we're running into a little bit of an issue. So here's my crimp bead. And then this bead starts, well, maybe it's not going to be an issue. No, once I scooted it up there, I think it's going to be okay. All right, I think our length is good. I was a little worried there, but I think it's okay. All right, we just need to make sure that we do this tight. Okay, so there's the crimp. Turning it vertically. It is hard to get this turned vertically with all these strands on here. So just do the best you can. It's important to though, because if you don't, it doesn't close it up right. So you just kind of have to really manhandle it around. There we go. And get that closed up real good. Which I still don't have it. It keeps wanting to twist when I go to close it. And you'll run into that sometimes. There, I think I got it that time, maybe? Yes. Press it, make sure it's closed good. Okay. Now let's go through the beads here, and we'll do the other end. And if you don't want to see the whole process of me crimping all these on, you can just fast forward ahead, but a lot of people tell me that they have trouble, so I'm just trying to show how I measure the length and make sure that I get it crimped to where it's going to be the same length on all the strands. A lot of people tell me that they need a little help with that, so that's why I'm doing it kind of in depth on this video. All right, here we have it. Now we have to use a jump ring on this end, so we want to use the same size jump ring that we did on the other one. Make sure that you do that, otherwise things are going to look wonky. So here we have another jump ring that's the same as that one. Laying this out like it needs to go. Why are you twisted up there like that weirdly? Why? There we go. Okay. There we have it. Pull everything tight. Yep, I think that's going to be good. Okay, we're going to just crimp this one on. So grab your crimp bead, grab your wire guard. I'm going to go ahead and come up and over, back through this. I'll put the jump ring on in a second because we saw last time how I was struggling with that. Going through a few beads. Come on now. Just pull this way. There, that had a, I didn't want to go through there. It had a like a piece of paint or something in that bead. Okay, now pull tight. Alrighty, make sure that you have everything pulled tight and snug. And we're going to go ahead and put the jump ring on before we crimp, just to make sure. This jump ring is not the same. You want to be sure that you get the same one that you had on the other. And see, I have all my jump rings together in one container, which drives some people crazy. And normally it is a good thing, and I like it because I can just see everything I have, and I don't have to try to search through baggies and that kind of thing. But sometimes it can be a pain. But this is, here we got it now. Pretty sure this is the same one. Yeah. Alright, we're going to just hook it right on. Right on this piece. And this bar on this piece is kind of thick. It's normally meant to be a pendant, not a clasp on a bracelet, but I like to switch things up. Alright, so there that one is. Let's flip it around. Looking good. Pull tight, and we're going to go ahead and crimp it. So we're laying it in the back divot of our crimpers. Make sure everything's tight, and it looks like it is. I'm going to do it this way because I'm right-handed and it's a little bit easier if I flip it. Crimp that down. Turn everything and close it up. Alright. Tug it. If it comes loose, you want it to come loose now and not when you're wearing it or someone else is wearing it. So give it a good tug test. This is the best time that if it's going to break, you want it to do it now. Alright, so here we have this so far. It's looking good. Last one. Okay, so this last one, we're going to do the same thing we've been doing. I'm going to grab our little crimp bead. I'm going to put our wire guard on. Now let's lay this up here and make sure it does look like it's going to be fine lengthwise. So let's put our little wire guard on. Come up and over. There we go. I'm going to hook onto my jump ring. Pull it up. Go back through the crimp. I'm going to pull that up and crimp it, and then I'll go back through some beads. I've got plenty of room on the other side. Spin that crimp in a little. And we're just going to crimp that down. Turn it sideways and close it up. Okay. Let's tighten this up. I'll go through there. I know you'll go through a truck. Tighten everything up. Lay it out. And we're going to do the other end. And I'm pretty sure that this one is going to be just fine with the length. Yeah, it is. Okay. So put our other crimp on. That one's weird. It's a double. It's stuck together or something. Okay. Other crimp on, wire guardian, there we go, up and around. Now this wire, or this strand here, is hooking right on this loop on the end, just like this. Going to go back down through the crimp in a few beads. I'd like to get through that diamond if I could too. There we go. Okay, pull everything tight. Bend in the wire guard. Pull tight. Make sure nothing's crisscrossed or anything like that. It's not. I thought I had a crisscross there, but I don't. Okay, make sure this is good and tight. And crimp. Okay. And trim this tail. And there is our beautiful little bracelet. So let's see how it fits. Let's see if I did it right. And it does. Now, what am I dealing with here? This one is not wanting to bend very well. Oh, okay. I don't know what was going on there. It's okay, though. So let me see if I can clasp this by myself without Chris. I'm not very good, but sometimes if the lobster is big enough, like this one, I can make it go. Push that down. There we go. So there we have it. Cute, cute. There's the closure. I do like this. The way this turns out. It's really kind of cool, isn't it? And this rocks a little bit. You could clasp it in that one if you wanted to, so it wouldn't rock around as much. But I was lucky to get it clasped at all without Chris's help, so we're just gonna leave it. But here it is. Really pretty. Very statement-ish. You know, pretty blingy and out there. Very deco art. I definitely got that vibe from it. It's cute. Alright guys, well thanks for watching. Check out Sam's bead box if you haven't. It really is an awesome bead box with check glass and gemstones. And just look at this. I mean, this is an example. I will link the unboxing in the description box below this video. You can check that out. And I've already made 2 other necklaces and a pair of earrings, I think, from it. So check those out. I'll link all those tutorials if I can. And yeah, thanks for watching. Oh, I was gonna say, I did actually pull out some crimp covers if you wanted. Let me get this off. See if I can get it off. So bad. Okay, if you wanted to, you could put the crimp covers on. I can't get this off now. Funny, I could get it on, but I can't get it off. There we go. Okay. If you wanted to, you could put the crimp covers on here. I don't usually use them. I mean, you know, let's take a look. Sometimes it seems like if you crimp up tight, and I like to crimp up tight so I don't have things floating, it's a little hard to get them on because there's just not enough room there, but I don't know. I mean, you could put them on. They do cover up the crimp and kind of make it more decorative. I may put them on. If you do want to put them on, all you do, they're like little Pac-Man, and they work really, they're easy to bend. You just put them over top of that crimp like that. You know, make sure the crimp's in the middle of the whole thing. You have to make sure that your wire guardian doesn't get in the way and all that good stuff. And then you just take it and you use your pliers and you close it right up. And thankfully this metal is very malleable that these are made out of, and you can kind of bend it around. I always have to. I never get them closed up perfect just right the first time. I have to play around with them, like, you know, there you go. That's closed up pretty good. And then we can stick one on the other end. I don't know if I'm going to do them on the whole bracelet, but I will stick one on the other end just for demonstration's sake. They're kind of hard to work with. I don't know. I don't really use them a lot because they're just fiddly little creatures. And I found that I get more frustrated trying to use them than I do if I just don't. Okay, let's see if we can get you on there. See? It's a very fiddly little creature. Doesn't want to go on. You can open them up bigger if you want, but ugh, they're just a pain in the butt. but they do kind of look nice. I mean, they cover that crimp, so there we go. Get it on there. All right. And just close it up. And see, when I close them, they never close up right. I always have to play with them and move them around. There. So, you know, if you want to put them on, there they are. Go ahead, wear yourself out with it. But I don't think I'm going to. I don't know. I may now that I did those. But anyway, there they are. That's crimp bead covers. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like it. Subscribe to my channel. If you don't subscribe and ring the bell, you will not know when I upload new tutorials. And I open up a ton of boxes. Bargain Bead Box, Sam's Bead Box, Jesse James stuff all the time. What is going on here? Why are you twisted? What else? I don't know, but, oh, there we go. Lots of boxes, and so if I open up the box that you like and you haven't subscribed to my channel, when I upload a tutorial from it, you're not going to know. So it's important to subscribe and ring the bell. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye!